2.5 years old, he was not speaking. He did not provide direct eye contact.
She didn't like being held very much. I noticed she didn't interact with other kids.
The other kids in his classroom would be playing, and he would just kind of be off in the corner.
When you would call him, he wouldn't turn around.
He's a wanderer, so if he leaves out of the house, he's gone, and he's not coming back if you call his name.
During family gatherings, he would isolate himself, turn his back away from the family, and begin to line up toys.
And he would do a lot of repeat stacking, lining up his food.
And so as a family, we decided that we needed to get him some help.
We took her to the doctor, and I remember the doctor saying, I'm kind of concerned what's going on with Brianna. And they sent her to a developmental, psychologist, and she was diagnosed with autism. To be honest with you, I'd heard about autism. I didn't really know what it was. And I just remember, they do all these tests and they call you in and then they say, oh, by the way, your kid has autism. And I remember after I heard that, I didn't hear anything else. I just kept seeing his mouth move, but I couldn't hear anything because I was like, well, what does this mean?
So autism spectrum disorder is what we call a neurodevelopmental disorder, which means that it's a disorder that starts off at childhood and as the child is developing, and will mostly manifest by the time the child is in grade school.
Autism primarily affects a child's ability to communicate and relate to others. Other symptoms include a tendency to repeat words or actions and restricted and repetitive interests or behaviors. A child with a diagnosis of autism can have interests that seem very narrow or unusual, like lining up their toys or just staring at an object. They often insist on following specific routines, and small changes will upset them. They may be very sensitive to noise and experience other sensory issues. These symptoms of autism can range from severe to mild, and that is why doctors now call it autism spectrum disorder, or ASD.
You don't want to, at that point, say, is there something wrong with my kid? Is there a problem? And I think that that's a lot of what it was at the time, is that you hear these different words and they start putting on labels and you wonder how you're going to move forward.
And we just thought that was it. He wasn't going to get no better. He's been labeled. He's going to be in special education all his life, and he's going to be bagging groceries and saying, welcome to Walmart. And he's not going to ever be able to achieve the dreams that I had for him.
Looking back to when I first got my diagnosis, I wish somebody would have told me that it's okay to be scared and it's okay to not have all of the answers.
I still didn't know what I was dealing with and what I was supposed to do. And so I then went on this really massive internet search to figure out what it meant, what was the future gonna look like, what we needed to do and what I could do to help.
Only about 1/3 of the people diagnosed with autism have an intellectual disability. So it's not everybody. The remaining 2/3 have normal intelligence or high intelligence.
I was in denial. I realized I was in denial, and it's okay. It's not a negative thing if they have this label that they learn differently.
It's a label, but it's not something that you should be ashamed about. It's not something that you need to be scared when you hear about it.
In the African American community, we want to say there's nothing wrong. He's going to be fine. We're just going to pray for him. Jesus will heal him. We put it off until the child is 6 or 7 or 8 years old. And then all of a sudden we have behavior problems. They're acting out in school. They're fighting. They're biting because they can't speak and they can't participate. And the kids are making fun of them and they don't know how to deal with them. Well, by that time, you've lost 4 or 5 years of speech and behavior therapy and physical therapy and occupational therapy and giving this child the tool that he or she needs to succeed. And you can't wait.
The earlier you start, the better prognosis for your child. There are a ton of services out there. And so some of them, you're going to have to fill out a lot of paperwork. Start with the county case manager, and then they can open up the door to a whole bunch of different services.
There are services out there for them, and it is very important to get the child help, to be proactive, because the earlier you get the help, the higher the chances that a child would do better.
A lot of help is available for families with children on the autism spectrum. Families who are interested in receiving services for a child with autism should connect with their local county. They will set up an assessment and support plan, which will help identify what services and supports would be beneficial for your child. Service options may include behavioral treatment, waiver services, personal care assistance, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and educational services. Your child may be eligible to receive services through the Early Intensive Developmental and Behavioral Intervention Benefit or Children's Therapeutic Services and Supports. Some of these services include one-on-one or group treatment sessions for your child, as well as training and support for the whole family. These services respect your values, culture, and preferences. Contact your county and ask for an assessment to see what kind of services you may qualify for.
Studies have shown that the child will learn ways to compensate for their deficits. So the earlier they start to learn the right ways to compensate for the deficit, the higher the chances of being functional. So this is why it is very important for the child to have a diagnosis. And the diagnosis does trigger the treatment. Treatment starting from school, the kind of accommodation they get in school, the kind of the services that the insurance company will pay for.
I learned about county services and ended up accessing what's called a developmental disability waiver through county services. Through that waiver, I was able to support my kid in accessing services that focused on speech therapy, occupational therapy, social skills instruction, as well as other activities that were able to support him in his whole being, such as musical therapy and taekwondo.
They get services at the public school. Then we do a little bit of behavior therapy, and then we do a little bit of speech, OT, and PT outside the home.
One of the reasons we moved back to the Twin Cities was because the state of Minnesota has a tax base, a state tax, to help fund public education and some of those needs for kids that on the spectrum. There are plenty of families that have multiple children on the spectrum. We just happen to have 3 now.
If you think your child may have autism, Disability Hub MN is a great place to start. At the Disability Hub MN, you can chat with an expert who will help you understand your options and get you connected to all available resources and services. Their experts will help you solve problems, navigate the healthcare system, and plan your next steps. Your local county may offer additional services you may be eligible to receive. These services can help a person with day-to-day activities in their home and community. Personal care assistance services include support with activities of daily living. This may involve assistance with meals, transportation, personal hygiene, and other daily activities. A person may also qualify for a waiver. A waiver provides families the freedom to choose the services they need and support their children in participating as active members of their communities. Talk with your county case manager or chat with an expert at Disability Hub MN to learn more about your options.
I signed up for a county case manager, so you go to your county, whatever county you live in, go to the Department of Human Services and sign up, and then they come out and they assess what your needs are. And so she qualified to have a personal care assistant, somebody that helps her with things like grooming, getting out in the community.
We ended up getting a PCA because that was something that was, so a personal care assistant, that was good for him, but it was also good for us. It doesn't make you a bad parent that you're tired and that you can't do everything yourself.
There are places that can help you. Even your school can help you. There's someone at the school, a counselor or a social worker, that should be able to break down some of the language and help you. There are services out there and programs for everybody.
So the early childhood intervention programs through the school district, so these are the programs that can start the child off on what you call an individualized education plan. So this is called an IEP.
Your local public school offers a wide range of special education programs and services. Your child's educational team will help you create an individual education plan, or IEP, for your child. Special education services are even available for students who attend non-public schools. If you have concerns about a developmental delay, we recommend that you contact Help Me Grow. Help Me Grow is an early childhood screening and intervention program provided through your local school district. Special education services like Help Me Grow can serve as a bridge while your child awaits access to other early intervention services.
I talked to the school. The school had already identified some learning issues, so I went to the IEP meetings at school. A lot of times parents don't go to those. A lot of my friends didn't go. I was like, I can't leave this to chance because her needs are so specific that they need to know, and I'm the only one that can tell them that, you know?
My mom decided we should look for a different school that actually had teachers that were able to work with kids with learning disabilities and autism. So they were required to actually know about autism.
In the past, students would be removed from the classroom or they wouldn't be mainstreamed with other students. Now we have more intentional trainings and workshops and professional development to show that it's okay for these students to be different and they learn differently. And hey, now we're giving you the tools to help you help these learners.
They worked on teaching kids social skills to, how to interact with each other, how to even play together. So she started to have friends, and I started to see her life change.
There are many organizations specializing in the treatment of autism that offer a variety of therapies. Given that each child is different and has different needs, the treatment plan and services may vary from person to person.
You as a parent, as a primary caregiver, you need to inform yourself or get access to information so that you can gain access for your child.
When you don't think you got the money to pay for private speech therapy because the insurance won't pay for it, there's scholarships and grants that'll pay for it. There's foundations that are set up just to give your child the money to go to speech therapy because the insurance won't pay for it.
It can feel like a lot of hurdles just to get in the system. And I remember going, well, I really would like to have this, but I don't have the time, or when am I going to fill out this paperwork, or I missed some deadline. And then to find out that you have a waiting list that you have to go on, it can get really frustrating.
Don't give up. If one way doesn't work, figure out another way. Expect the best that your child can achieve, and then help them get there.
Again, there's multiple agencies that are out there that can help you. When one door closes, kick down another one. I mean that.
Being shy for things for my son is not going to get us where we need to be.
The good side is that they're getting so much better. They are doing so much more. 6 months ago, Cameron wouldn't tell you her name. She wouldn't walk up to you. She wouldn't talk in class. If she wanted some chips, she would just bring them to you and shake the chips near your head. And now she's, Mommy, I want some chips. Mommy, the sun is up. Mommy, come and get me. I'm ready to start the day. And then she looks for her therapist and she interacts with them and she talks to them and she talks to people she doesn't know. Brandon is just doing so well. He's just doing gangbusters and they're making so much progress.
I want him to be able to reach whatever his full potential is. I want to make sure that I give him the resources that when he's 16, if he has a job someplace, he has that job. If he's living independently, he has that opportunity. And so I just try and make sure that I provide him with the right foundation and the right resources to do as well as he can do.
He is going to graduate this year, and he's been accepted at Bethel College, and I am so excited. And I'm amazed at the young man that he is developing into, the young adult, and turning out to be. So I went from my heart being broken to he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay.